Okay, so I think we're live. So thanks everyone for joining the first ever Livepeer Community call. Exciting occasion. Up until this point, basically, Eric and myself, we're building for about 6 months just in a small little room trying to get Livepeer off the ground. And we've had Yandin and Lucy join us recently, and a bunch of community members have expressed interest in building on Livepeer, helping with the community, building their own products or applications and making use of the ecosystem, or just trying to figure out how to make peer-to-peer live video happen for their own reasons. So I thought it'd be good to start doing either a weekly or bi-weekly community call where we can kind of give updates on the project, talk about the next milestones, and let people who want to find a way to participate get some concrete to-dos and milestones and tasks, and get some help and feedback and ask questions as we go. So for today's agenda, try and keep it pretty quick. I think we can target it at 30 minutes. It might be a lot less, or if it runs longer, that's okay, but we'll cut it off at about 50 minutes. I'll give an update on the project status and where we are, what our next milestones are. And then I think we should do introductions. I held that off from the very beginning just in case people trickle in a few minutes into the call. And then some of the team members can give updates on what they're doing, and then we can kind of open it up to ideas, questions, feedback for things that people are thinking about. So, sounds good. So, about 8 people here right now. That's pretty good. I think we invited 11. Once we get into the rhythm of things, we can open it up to the community and have anyone join in recording it. And we'd love to be streaming through Livepeer. Our toy network is down at the moment because we've been making really fast progress on the latest version of the code and didn't want to slow down to kind of do a release and everything, even though it broke some backwards compatibility. So good news is good progress. Bad news is this is not live streamed through Livepeer, which is sad, but the future ones will be. So cool. So where are we at with the project? I think a few months ago we released kind of the first version of Livepeer, and it was just a proof of concept, and that kind of demonstrated peer-to-peer live video. So that meant that anyone could run a Livepeer node. It would connect to all the other Livepeer nodes that were running in the network. If someone started a live video stream, then any other node in the network could request that stream, and the video would be routed to them in a peer-to-peer fashion. And we were excited to get that working. We did it kind of quick, building on top of Ethereum's Swarm project, and it worked. And so that's great. But what it didn't have is it didn't have, amazing performance and reliability, which is something we certainly need for the long term. And it didn't have any of the incentives that we need to actually make this network work at scale, be really fast, be really reliable, and to allow people to basically do all of the video processing required to reach every device. We were kind of just doing simple transcoding as a proof of concept, but not the kind of adaptive bitrate streaming that we need to do to reach every device. So, what we also kind of released at that same point in time was the white paper, which outlined the protocol for all the incentives, all the security, and all the different roles in the network that are necessary to make this thing go. And so what we've been doing for the past couple months is implementing the protocol defined in the white paper. And that's our big milestone, what we're running at. We want to do the next release of the software that embeds the Livepeer protocol. And so that includes things like the Livepeer token, the concept of this whole process we have for electing who the nodes are that are going to be the transcoders that are doing the video encoding. So it has the protocol for doing that kind of delegation and election process. It has the protocol for basically submitting jobs and saying, I want to broadcast a video and I want to encode it into all of these formats. The protocol will assign that job to a transcoder. It'll let them claim the work that they've done, and it'll verify that they did the work correctly. And then we talked about incentives. The incentive is that it will actually, release the fees that the broadcasters are paying, and it will release kind of newly minted Livepeer token to the nodes doing the work and to all the users who are delegating towards those nodes in service of kind of electing high quality, good actors to play this role in this network. And so we've been hustling at implementing that, and Eric and Jan give some updates to where we are specifically. But kind of the big goal that we're running at is a live network that includes protocol and the incentives. And this will be first, of course, a test network, and it'll be updated rapidly, and everyone running nodes will have to upgrade it to keep up to date because it's not necessarily live. But we want to get to kind of the live production network, at which point we can actually release and distribute the Livepeer token, make it a real thing, and that's when the real incentives kick in to get people to actually participate. So it's a couple steps. It's implement it, and right now, I'm glad to say we kind of have it working in an internal test state. We can run long integration tests, and the whole procedure works from start to finish. But to make the software actually robust enough such that you can run it for days or months on end on a server without it going down, we have some work to do to get there, and have some, we're discovering bugs and issues with the protocol along the way that we need to fix as we go. So that's kind of where we're at. So like I said, I think once we launch the network, what will be included are tokens, roles of transcoders and election of transcoders, bonding and delegation, jobs, claiming the work and verifying the work, and then distributing the rewards. So if that's what's included, the things that we want to do over the long term that are not necessarily going to be included in this first milestone are kind of the super efficient peer-to-peer delivery of the video content. So the network will work where anyone can broadcast the video and request the video. If we want to be really resilient to churn and really resilient to nodes that don't have a lot of bandwidth and just really performant and reliable, then we need to implement some peer-to-peer video distribution. And we're working on that. We have some contributors who actually, a few of the kind of more technical community contributors couldn't join today because they're on vacation or whatever, but they're actually working on a protocol called PPSPP that will help solve that. And while that might not be in the first release, that's coming shortly thereafter. We probably won't have fully decentralized verification of the encoding work kind of in this first proof of concept release, or even kind of the first test and maybe even production networks beyond that. There we're relying on a protocol called TrueBit, which we're contributing to, and it's in development, but it's probably many months or even a year off. An important project for the community. Everyone's excited about it. Once it's available, we can shift to that for verifying the work. But in the meantime, we're looking at slightly less decentralized or more trusted solutions for verifying the work is done correctly. And if people have questions about that, I can talk about how we might do that later. But the plan is to communicate kind of a release roadmap with many release milestones along the way, such that everyone kind of understands. Once we get to this release, we'll have peer-to-peer live video distribution. Once we get to this release, we'll have fully decentralized verification. Once we get to this release, we'll have fully decentralized governance and protocol upgrade mechanisms. I know that this is a long process. It's going to take months or years, but we still want to be able to, release a network and a token and deliver value in the short term as well. So I think that's kind of the super high level update of what we've been doing and where we're at. Certainly have time for questions. I think before we get to that, I guess it would be good if everyone wanted to do a quick 30 to 120 second introduction of what they, who they are, why they're interested in Livepeer, what they're working on, and we can take it from there. So I thought maybe first Eric and Jan, you can go and give a more technical update as well.
Sure. So I'll introduce myself. I am Eric. I lead software development here at Livepeer. I've been working on this stuff for over 6 months, and it's really exciting to see things starting to take shape. And now we have awesome community members joining us, which is great. So let me give a quick update on the software development itself. So we've been And since then, we've been working on a more full-featured version of the actual node, and that is in a difficult phase, and we haven't open sourced it yet, but it's very close. My plan is to open source that in the next few weeks, and that is actually integrated with the blockchain, with the protocol, so that we have the whole incentives and tokens and mechanisms working. Um, we we are running at this milestone where we want to release a testnet in early to mid August, so that we can start not only streaming, allowing anyone to be able to stream and test network, but also give out test tokens. So like community members or people who are interested in the project can start either building applications or start playing with the network and see how it works. So and so far, the development has been going pretty well. We have, like I said, we've had a lot of community members who are technical and contributing. In particular, we had someone who was working on the peer-to-peer video delivery protocol. We have someone who's working, who's doing some work on the front end, design and like UX work, and there's someone working on a protocol explorer DAC, so that we can easily visualize the state of the contract. And that's all going really good. So if anyone knows anybody who's interested in the project or who wants to contribute, we're trying to figure out ways to compensate people for doing the work, so that like contributors actually have a stake in the project and they're not just doing free work and not being compensated. I think this is a really great way to incentivize open source software by actually giving people a stake instead of just have free work. So as we're out there talking to people about Livepeer, I think it's really important to mention, which is like if you're technical and you're into video, like you should totally be excited about Livepeer, because it's something you can work on that you love and you can be compensated. There's a potential future upside later down the line. You can get on the ground floor and see this like socialized video happening. So that's kind of on my part, and maybe give an update on the protocol.
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Yondin. I've been mainly focused on the implementation of the Livepeer protocol, so embedding of incentives into the Livepeer network, as well as the actual client that the node will use to interface with the blockchain and interact with the Livepeer protocol. So the Livepeer protocol is currently implemented on top of Ethereum via a set of smart contracts, and as Doug mentioned a little earlier, I think two big milestones that we've hit for the protocol thus far are the ability to go through a full token distribution flow via transcoders called the reward function, as well as going through a full so-called job claim verify loop, where transcoders can accept a broadcasting job and then claim work for it, and then initiate a verification process for verifying that the work was properly done. And some work that's going on more recently is, up until this point, we've been pushing on just getting the initial functionality as outlined in the white paper into a set of smart contracts. But for the ease of development as well as future upgradability research, something that I'm working on right now is doing a slight refactor of our smart contract system. One, to make it more modular, so it's easier for us to push on the development roadmap going forward. And two, open up for the possibility of further upgradability research, just because a more modular smart contract system design will help us out down the road. So doing some research on that, working on that right now. If anyone is interested, the protocol repository is open source on GitHub, and anyone can follow along. And for any more technically minded people, obviously awesome to have more discussion discussion around the protocol, as well as talk a little more about the technicalities of the implementation of the protocol itself and contracts.
Thanks, John. All right, so who's next? Lucy, you want to say hello?
Yeah, sure. Hi
I
everyone.
think you're on
I'm
mute.
Lucy, and I'm the
You're on mute,
newest
Lucy.
member of the team here. Oh, sorry, I was I was on mute. Thanks, Alex. Hi everyone. I'm Lucy, and I'm the newest member of the team. Recently joined to head up operations here at the project, so looks like I'm the first member that's going to be focused on the non-technical aspects of the project. And before this, I was working actually as an intern officer, and that was when I met Eric and we got to know the team here. Watching spaces overall has been really fascinating to me, and I've been digging into it for the last 6 months or so. So decided to make the decision to dive in on the operating side. And here at Livepeer, I'm putting together a plan for the community building, heading to the public distribution. So you'll probably hear from me in the next couple weeks in regarding to this aspect. And if there's anyone that's interested or with us, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. My link is sort of with my email at lucy@livepeer.org.
All right, thanks, Lucy. All right, Chris. Chris actually organized and suggested this call in the first place. You want to jump in and say hello?
Yeah, sure. Can you all hear me? I'm on mute. Thumbs up. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I just want to start by sharing how cool I think this stuff is, how excited I am about this project getting to this kind of phase where we're all talking face to face. Like disappointing we're not talking over the Livepeer network, but still it's like a step in the right direction. We all see each other happening. My excitement about this whole space, I've been like searching into blockchain and Bitcoin things for the last year or so. Also, I come at this from a bit of a like tech meets creative point of view. So I'm from a like a creative space. So the whole kind of concept of sharing live video, sharing light and sound waves around the world is super interesting for me. Two areas I kind of come at this from. One is doing what I can, bringing my expertise in like product management, product marketing, platform stuff to spread the network, grow the network, share the network. This is like one of those things that it's only going to be as strong as the people who are involved in it. So for me, there's a whole big work around connecting the network with people who can benefit from the network. And like, what we're doing here is intrinsically good, intrinsically efficient, intrinsically positive for the world of the internet, and we've just got to communicate this in a way to the world understands it, gets it, and actually realizes they can make some money from it. So like, across the board, I'm super interested in like owning the token, distributing the token, working with the token, working to make the value of the token higher, not only to make myself some money that I can kind of but also that I can share it with the people. I think this is the really key thing is like get the word out to the world, and let's all do this together and think that kind of global partner collaboration. But the other way I look at it is from like a specific use case and product point of view. So kind of think and look at it and say it's a low cost of entry to test some new business models. So one project I worked on this year, launching my own startup one-man TV network in Berlin. I'm based in Berlin. Yeah, Berlin Live TV was an experiment in how to launch a startup TV channel from scratch. Looked up on Facebook and I came up with Livepeer stuff and all this incentivized, crypto incentivized, which is how I came into this. So I'm looking for people in this space who are interested in mobile streaming and mobile TV and building network kind of piece together a decentralized distributed TV network for the 2017 and beyond, like TV 2.0. I think that sounds grandiose. And the other like random application on this one is something around like live video online dating. So being able to, this is all kind of like random off the bat ideas. I've got a few of them that are kind of bubbling up as innovative and clever ways to start using this more accessible, more easy to innovate on technology platforms. But also brings it to people. Like if we end up building a beautiful, great network that's practically perfect in every way, but no one's using it, then we fail. So I kind of feel like, one, I want to help build the network, make it strong, but technical background and mathematics and science, I want to understand how computers work, but I feel like my value and soul is going to be getting it to people, getting people in. So I want to know every single one of you guys personally on this call. I met them already when you came to Berlin, but I want to connect with this whole ecosystem because it's super cool. And I think I've gone over my 1 minute 20 seconds.
It's all good. We're so pumped you're here because you could tell from the first like 10 minutes of updates, we're just talking about technology and the network and the protocol, but we also need a plan to bring this to people.
This is where it starts. Yeah.
Right.
That's where I want to work.
Cool. And yeah, we'll come back to, I want to spend just a few minutes talking about some concrete steps in terms of how we can actually like track a kind of consumer product roadmap, or at least share ideas for the first steps of consumer products and the first ways that consumers can interact with this. I know you have some thoughts about where we can organize that, so we'll come back to that in a few minutes. So I see Ben and Graham down at the bottom. You guys want to say hello?
Graham, why don't you go ahead because I'm about to hop off the bus, so I'll have to dial back in.
I was wondering if you were in a car or bus. Sure.
Yeah.
So my sorry about not being camera. I'm actually going to just considering the face of this. My name is Graham Mosley. I have been working in the advertising or ad tech industry for quite some time, and spent the last year and a half pulling together the financial technology industry with advertising to build an exchange using blockchain as a full ledger, primarily on a UTXO basis, not sort of smart contracts yet, but for managing things like balancing position, contracts for guaranteed advertising contract. This has led me farther down the blockchain route, and actually my next role is like purely within blockchain, focused on a couple different industries, financial, basically how to extend into various areas of smart contracts or things like trade finance and other aspects. As part of the process of being a founder of this last company, we spent a lot of time going through how to implement blockchain in various different solutions with external distributed parties, with matching ledgers and the rest. So much of it was ledger based, obviously turning around and turning those into functions with escrow or release of funds and other aspects of the various smart contracts. I have a CTO friend, Eric, brought me to this conversation. So I'm extremely interested in various different ways to leverage blockchain distributed basis. I actually find the fact that using the GPUs for blockchain lends itself very well to the video idea of this, and being able to have a set of blocks is something that is very useful in a system. I find it extremely exciting to have that be wasteless on hatches for the rest. So being able to include a fundamental work of effort that is a global positive is great, and video is not going anywhere. So I see the direction very interested. My experience has been more on product PD, less than actually jotting down code, but trying to find ways where I can potentially help in this, and I look forward to having a more cloud perspective on using it.
Awesome. Thanks, Graham. Good to have you here. So it looks like Ben hopped off the bus. He might dial back in. If so, he can jump in. But kind of the one item that I wanted to talk about on the agenda was kind of what we were just mentioning along with Chris is what's the best way for us to organize and think, kind of to pursue parallel tracks. So while we're pushing on the technical and the network and the protocol and the token distribution, to also make sure that we're pushing on the kind of user, consumer, or business side of Livepeer as well. And I guess there's two ways to think about it. One way would be kind of the internal roadmap of what we are all trying to build here internally to make sure that we can bring this to users or businesses. And then there's kind of the external community roadmap of what are great ideas and opportunities and concepts that we want to see from the community, where people who contribute those could either, maybe they're doing it as a business that's profitable in their own endeavor, maybe it's a real value add to the Livepeer ecosystem, and they can earn a big allocation of token in order for making this contribution. But there should be some place to share these ideas, to prioritize them, to start collaborating on a roadmap for execution. There's a couple people who probably will join future calls. They couldn't be here right now, but I know they're interested in that as well. So, Chris, I know you felt that we kind of needed a place to begin to collaborate. You were looking into Trello and GitHub and just maybe a place to start sharing ideas. Did you have any thoughts about first steps we could take there?
Yeah, I think for me, before we talk about tools like Trello and Slack and stuff like this, with communicating and managing workflow, I think for me it's like kind of pick up on what you said around the internal roadmap around what you're building on Livepeer and the network, when certain things will be available. For me, I see that the analogy is that's the foundation of the castle. And there's some foundations there already. Maybe we don't want to start building on those foundations, but it's good to know that we can test them, jump on them, and kick the tires on them and see how they are. Then having some concept of when stuff will be coming, when the foundations will be testable further, and when these will be super solid and we can really start building the next level, like the first floor of the castle. So there's base level stuff. I think that's the challenges for us to be able to understand you guys in the team, what you're building, what you're doing, and as we grow and as we adapt and build, we'll be coming in to kind of support the work on the internal stuff.
So right now, maybe that's not visualized quite as well as it could be, right? Like Eric, you've been tracking this internal week-by-week roadmap of kind of technical milestones. And I guess the high-level kind of release dates are the thing that would be most useful, or the release targets would be the thing that would be most useful to the community.
Yeah, and I would say that doesn't need much more technical with some monthly granularity timescale. Our intention is to have this thing ready by I've got one from Eric that said it was something about mid to late August. Having the testnet ready with token with so on, and then I could write down all the stuff he said. Having that kind of thing characterized, described, and published, I think would be a great way to allow the community to understand the stuff is here. We get the feeling of this whole crypto funding space. There's so much stuff. No one knows what's going on. No one knows any real time around the thing. Having something like the real code, real stuff running, connect with this. So this is one thing, the internal foundational structure of this whole network. But then this whole how do we envision what the turrets of this castle look like? This very top. How do we show the world how beautiful this castle could be? Castle that work, that sort of work. And for me, it's the starting point is having some kind of repository somewhere. How that gets managed, I don't know, but Trello kind of thing is really fine. I'm sure there are better tools than that these days. Sort of 1 or 2 years out of date. But just somewhere initial point, like people, I think people on this call, we've all had ideas of ways this stuff is applicable. Just, first off, there's some place that we normally go to add in the Google Drive form where you can say, oh shit, that's a great idea for how your network can be made relevant to the world. Because we've all got ideas, we've all got like use cases floating around in our heads, I'm sure, of stuff that would be good. There's something that describes that in like a one line. So like for me, it's like it starts with a load of things about classic product management, project management flows, like it starts with a brief. And a brief can be one line, it can be one page, they just kind of like have a single source of truth for the basically go to add new stuff to the hopper, to the repository. Also to go and like take a look at what's on there. And if people come in and say, oh yeah, I really want to get involved in this subject, but I don't know how, like go read the 20 different one pages that we have about ideas of like next steps. Like prioritization is one thing, but like someone takes something number 20 on the priority list and says, I really, really want to do that. Like, it sounds really cool. Like, I'm not going to say, no, we want priority 1 done. We don't want priority 20. Like, if you've got enthusiasm, go build any of these things that just adds incrementally a little bit to the value of this overall network and this whole ecosystem. Fill your booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go make, go build, go do. Like, be unconstrained in your enthusiasm. And, like, I feel like this whole crypto funding mechanism, give people a token and say you have a vested interest now in building this overall ecosystem. It's like it's real for them.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I totally agree that should exist. I'll definitely I'll take it as a to-do for us to immediately publish or like make more visible the internal roadmap with some dates and granularity so that everyone knows where to see that. We have a roadmap that's kind of lacking the dates and the updates and the actionable things that people can make use of. So we'll do that internally. Do you want to take it as a to-do to launch that community kind of idea exchange portal?
Yeah, I want to bootstrap a little bit of people to just like kick around the data, find out what the data format, like what format the data comes in.
Yep.
And actually, it might be something really rough and ready. It's definitely not a tool for the future. Some way of crowdsourcing from this initial community the ideas, the description, and then I'll want to take a look at that and say, okay, I understand the shape of how this data looks now, how this information, what content is included in it, and then like say, okay, go out to the market and find what it could be that Trello is the best way of kind of managing this stuff. No, but I think there's going to be a little bit of testing and like beta testing this before launching it and the open community testing it inside this like the control space.
Cool. So what's your ask? Is it that we email you, or that do you want us to fill things into a Google form or something?
I think I will. Yeah, I think instinctively I want to create some basic structure to it at some point.
Cool. So
it relates into a single place, and then we can, and then like I'll share this. Like,
yeah, I think sharing on the Gitter channel and will be like a good first place. And then our forum is actually a really interesting tool because when we post the updates there, people are reading them, they're absorbing the information, and it's good like permanent content that people can always go back and reference. But it has not been active in terms of a lot of discussion and contribution. So it'd be interesting, like anyone can always throw an idea or a question or anything onto the forum, or they can feel free to respond and chime into any conversation with their own ideas. It doesn't have to be this like formal place where only I make weekly updates. So feel free to like cross-post things to the forum, to the Gitter channels. We can start getting some discussion going there.
Doug is not a dictator, right?
This is a community project. So, cool.
Yeah.
Sound good.
Hey everyone, I wanted to just introduce myself briefly. So my name is Ben. I'm the software And a big part of my job is managing a global community of experts who help our other users with their questions and their issues and their troubleshooting, and then collaborate with me and collaborate with our engineering team to kind of improve the product, improve Google Photos, and then fix bugs and set better expectations with users. And so kind of a big part of the role is trying to direct and motivate our experts because they're volunteers. So it's totally like intrinsic motivation. We do fly them out to Google and we do try to do some fun things for them. But it's a lot about, trying to cultivate in them the belief in the sense that they're contributing to something that's worthwhile. And so as far as Livepeer, I'm really curious about, what that looks like for like community members, how we can both be a bottoms-up driven community, but also understanding that the decisions are gonna lay with Doug and it's gonna lay with Eric and that's okay. It doesn't need to be full total agreement. But at the same time there could be understanding and that's just a reasonable expectation from community members. I'm also really curious about how to kind of make it easy for people to find their way into the Livepeer community so that they have an easy way to get started. I have some friends who I know would love to start, but what does that pathway look like? Is it me adding them on the Gitter chat? Is it they do a hey, this is who I am, 1 minute video? Is in matching their credentials with the different projects that are open for being worked on. So I think just kind of designing that process so that people have maximum investment in the project, but also so that we have a sense of how the community is being shaped, and then we can meet them halfway. I think that's a really important part of it. The other thing that comes to mind that's really interesting is business case. So what's really attractive to me about Livepeer is I feel it's a real problem that's increasingly expensive, and that's very attractive from a business perspective. But it's being solved in a very elegant and theoretically sound way. So what's the language that we use to tell that story about why this performs pricing and the goals? Because I think to a large extent we're doing these other crypto projects for timeshare and mindshare of developers. So I think the storytelling and brand evangelism is important. And the last part I'd say is thinking through the incentive structure. I think is going to be really crucial. People are more motivated intrinsically for sure, but also clarifying some of the ambiguity around if you contribute to this part of the open source project, what will that mean for your stake in the project? I think we don't need to have all the answers there, but maybe in some ways even raising those questions and discussions so that the answers can be community driven. I think usually that means it's received better and it's better in the long term than So that's a bit about me. I'll turn it back over to you, Doug and Eric.
Awesome. I love the idea of some branded, known way that people on ramp to engage in the community. I think if it's a 1 minute video, that aligns pretty nice with Livepeer, and you start to build this collection of thousands of community members who all have these great creative videos. That could be something that's really different from the rest of the crypto and video community is doing. I know you're I know you're limited on time a little bit with the 3 different jobs that you have, but if you want to maybe even just take the lead on a small write-up of an idea for what you recommend, a great way to onboard people, you can share it around this group. That would be a great first step.
Yeah, I'll reach out to me contact information and after I write on brief.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Cool. So that was it for the agenda for the call. I know we ran a little over. I'm happy to stick around as long as people want to answer questions that anyone has. But otherwise, I think the kind of next to do would be everyone take these action items and execute on them. I'll send around a summary. And then I think we could decide whether we want to do the next follow-up 1 week from now or 2 weeks from now. Once we get through rhythm of things, I want to open it up to everyone in the community. So we'll take it from there. That's right. Thanks, man.
To Chris's point, Eric gave us look at what we do, identifying here, that we need to contribute to, and to go around that, just that what is this timeline is for enabling that large group. Yeah, I think I'll get a break lately. But yes, we the public thing. We've been loosely tracked that stuff, like we have a roadmap that's key, but obviously it's I think it's like taking all of that information together and finding ways for it that it is communication channel kind of within the community. Great. Yeah.
I have a question. Maybe like last question was what's the best case that when you take a token we send to someone walking? So 2021 September. So I think in our work currently have a couple of contracts that we're running with Ethereum around this. And of course we don't have like all of the products built. And that's actually a great community contribution project. I don't want to build like a wallet app. But in terms of the functionality, I think people will be able to send tokens to other people as soon as the testnet is like the testnet, right? And I think that's going to be the some of the environment data that
Well, that's kind of like the technical answer. Like that's when the functionality exists. Except the like economic answer of when people can actually like deliver value to someone else, or hold token that they feel they can actually transfer, sell, trade, whatever. That coincides with kind of when we do the crowd token distribution, which is when we have a live network that we feel is like secure and gameable, which we're shooting to have sometime in the fall, basically. Yeah.
That's the like position I made is kind of like finding people who are really interested in building stuff in the system. And right now I'm kind of making noises, making random noises about the cryptocurrency. I feel like I'm taking too much of a punt on something that might never exist, and I'm getting my hopes up. I want to get to the stage where I can look them very deep in the eye and say, this will give you cryptocurrency that you then Bitcoin and money they will build like this. And like, not that I have any of these things right now, but I kind of feel like I can bring people to you who want to work on this stuff, and maybe you'll give some of them to people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan. I mean, as you know, like we've been talking with you all along, that's kind of been the challenge for us is like, we kept saying, wait, be patient. It's not real yet, so it's challenging to actually give anything that's representative or convertible into the real thing, because that's just a few months away, and it would be a mistake to prematurely launch something that actually wasn't secure. It wouldn't have any value. It would be subject to being lost and whatever. We want to make sure that once there's a token, it actually is a secure cryptocurrency that has real value.
And so I think you mentioned that something built on Ethereum. Is the plan to continue staking on Ethereum, or is this going to be still continue?
Yeah, so Ethereum is this underlying development platform that makes it really, easier to create and secure your token and to create and secure the rules of your protocol. So Ethereum kind of powers it at the underlying level. but it's a new and separate Livepeer token.
Like, if you have a wallet going on and one of the PCs going to be dead in there, and it's going to need to. It's heavily integrated into your network. And like, if your network disappear, then the first people have a major setback. Let's say.
We would have to migrate to another smart contract platform, and there's other alternatives. And migrations would be easier or harder depending on that. Yeah, really good question. So yes, when you do transactions on Livepeer, your node needs to pay Ether in the form of gas in order to do that. So it does create some additional complexity, and we want to use all the available tools to like hide that complexity from users. And then as far as paying for the Livepeer services themselves, like broadcasting video, you'll pay a Livepeer token, and that will have its own accounting mechanism depending on what you want done with your video. So if you want to encode it into just 4 different bit rates, that cost X. But if you want to encode it into 10 different bit rates and packaged into 4 different formats, that costs more in terms of Livepeer token.
Just one more question for the person who wrote that. You mentioned near the beginning that it's about taking money from the broadcaster and paying to broadcast. And so there's also a model where the viewer can pay the cost of the network. Is that still true?
That's absolutely true at the kind of application level. So like a broadcaster needs to pay into the network to have their video encoded. If they want it encoded, you don't even have to pay to have that service. You just want to stream the video that you're capturing on your phone, for example. But if at the application layer you want to gate access to that video to only users who have paid or continue to pay Livepeer token back towards the broadcaster, that's totally doable. We're open to and considering ideas of that and more natively into the protocol itself. But it's definitely possible. Like if you want to build the application that does that, then you can certainly build that on top of Livepeer.
Yeah, like something I feel like this whole sticking element around sourcing all the application layer stuff to collate the ideas in everyone's heads. You sit down and look through that and see like, oh wow, there's like one feature that sits across all of these.
Yep.
Like it's probably should be a protocol.
Yep.
Or someone's like, I can build a system protocol. Working with that, this is better. But from all these apps, it doesn't look like any of these need this thing. So okay, so like, I want to start this narrowing down to the application layer of the protocol.
Definitely.
I think there's value in connecting you all together.
Awesome. Perfect timing. We're at 11:50, the hard cutoff for the end of the call. But yeah, thanks so much for everyone for joining. Look forward to the next one. I'll send around a summary and an update later.
Yeah.